You know how fun it is to go to the DMV and title your car, renew your plates, make sure you have all the required paperwork? Yeah, real fun, right? Well, imagine every single year you have to update what's called a permit book and update all of the stickers on your vehicle just to be legal to drive. Well, that's reality for drivers who drive commercial vehicles. So let's discuss what it's like to update everything for the new year on this week's Trucking Tuesday. Hi everyone, I'm Jen and I work in the office side of the trucking industry and I love to share about my job. This week, we're going to be talking about what it's like for drivers to prepare for the new year in terms of their permits and stickers and regulations. So, in addition to having your CDL, there's lots and lots of things that drivers have to have in their trucks with them at all times. Now, this can vary by state and if the driver stays in one state or goes across multiple states, but we'll cover the basics for over-the-road drivers. So, your CDL, which requires you to pass a driving test and take a written test. You also have to pass a medical card exam, so a physical exam with a doctor, and depending on how long you've had your CDL, the state regulations, that can be renewed every year or every 2 years. So you have that. Then you have to carry your insurance card. You have to have one for your tractor and then one for your trailer. And it has to be in your permit book. So most drivers carry like a folder or a clipboard that has all of their permits on it. At my company, we give our company drivers and our lease drivers a folder with pockets, have everything in it. So you have to carry cab card insurance and then tractor trailer insurance to cover the trailer, and then you also have proof that you have insurance to carry for the cargo that you're carrying. Those always have to be with you at all times. And then there's different permits that you have to carry. For example, different states require different permits. New Mexico, you can do a one-time permit, you can do a yearly permit. States like Oregon, same kind of thing. And these, if you're working for a company such as mine, your company will purchase those for you. And typically they'll purchase for the entire fleet, with the exception of drivers that would never go to that state, such as a local driver or a regional driver. So those permits have to be carried and they need to be available to be shown at any time when you're entering those states. You need to have what's called a UCR, which is Unified Carrier Registration. This allows you to go outside of your carrier's home state. For example, my carrier is in the state of Missouri. So for drivers to drive outside of the state of Missouri, even though we have local drivers in other states, such as other states in the Midwest, and they're local, meaning they don't go outside of that area and they follow the rules of local drivers, because they're not working in the home state of the carrier, they still have to have that registration. And this is also something that all of your regional and your over-the-road drivers have to have at all times. You have to have drug and alcohol clearinghouse, which means that this shows that you can pass a drug and alcohol screening. Typically, this is done when you are a new hire and then you get put into what is called the random pool. And every quarter, the carrier will have random drivers chosen to do a DOT standard drug test, drug and alcohol screening, which means they have to go to a testing center. They can't be told ahead of time. And then they have to do a random drug and alcohol sample, and they have to carry paperwork showing that they are a clean driver. Drivers also have to have a New York HUT sticker if there's a chance that that vehicle will go into the state of New York. This is a sticker that actually goes on the cab itself. Then you have what's called an IFTA sticker, and this is what the fuel tax is. And this is something that basically shows that you are going to follow the rules of IFTA, which is the fuel tax, and we'll do a whole video on that. But every state has its own tax and rules in terms of fueling, and drivers have to prove that the carrier that they're associated with is going to pay the taxes required by each state, and that they'll fuel equally per the amount of miles driven in each state. For example, if a driver is driving primarily in Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa, they would pay IFTA in all of those states equally. If you have a driver that's driving coast to coast, they would have to make sure that taxes are paid on fuel in each of those states that they cross on the regular equally. And this is to ensure that state taxes get paid, fuel taxes get paid, and that everything is equal across the board. And there's actually people dedicated in accounting departments who deal with nothing but IFTA all day long. And so, kind of funny story on that. My home state of Missouri, because of some issues with gaining the materials to print the stickers, did not get the stickers in time to be issued to be on the trucks by January 1st. Typically, you get your stickers mid to end of November, and then all your drivers have to make sure that they get them and get them on their cabs by January 1st. And my state, because they couldn't get the stickers printed in time, didn't get the stickers out, and we actually have a exemption with DOT. So if a driver gets stopped, they're not going to have the 2025 IFTA sticker on their cab at the moment, and we have to have them carry a piece of paper or a copy of this letter in their phone on their email to show that we are state exempt for current IFTA stickers until February 25th. So hopefully the state of Missouri will get us our IFTA stickers soon, and we can pass them out to the drivers. Considering we have drivers that very rarely stop by our terminal, that can be a real challenge. So typically that means we have to route them where they can come by the terminal, or it also means we may have to mail them to their home or mail them to another address so that they can pick those up and get them on their truck on time so that they don't get in trouble. And that's one of the biggest things that when drivers get pulled in, for example, at a scale house to get inspected, or if they get pulled over for a random vehicle inspection, that is one of the biggest things that drivers get ticketed on a lot. So that's something you definitely want to make sure you have current. You have to have proof of inspection of the truck and trailer. And these are safety inspections, and they may not have to be done by the first of the year. They have to be done once every calendar year. And there's actually stickers that will go on the inside of the trailer, and there'll be inspection paperwork that the drivers have to have proof of for the truck and the trailer that they're carrying. That shows that the safety inspection has been completed by someone who is certified to do safety inspections. And there's a huge checklist of everything that has to be checked on both the truck and trailer. And typically when you have a fleet as large as my company's, a lot of times the trailer inspections will be done out on the road. So lots of truck stops such as Love's and Pilots that have shops will have people who can do certified safety inspections on site, and the drivers can just wait to get them done. They get a copy of the paperwork, they send us a copy, we keep it for our records, and then they keep the actual original copy on the trailer. Typically we try to do at least the truck inspections at our home headquarters. Doesn't always happen, those can be done on the road as well, but they do have to be current every year, or you will fail a roadside inspection. There's also state permits as required. Different states have different requirements for different permits. And just like when you title your car or another vehicle, you have to have proof that the titling is done correctly, that the license plates are current, that the stickers on the license plates are current. And there's a license plate on the trailer and on the truck, and typically they'll be totally different dates. And a lot of times the cabs will be licensed with their plates in one state, and the trailers may be licensed in another. It just depends. So there's different rules and regulations depending on the state and where each piece of the truck and trailer are registered in. So all of those have to be kept current. Then you have to have the title and registration. So make sure that all of those paperwork are up to date. You have to have a DOT carrier number. If you own your own DOT authority, you have to have an MC authority permit. So every carrier is issued a DOT number, an MC number. If you have your own authority, meaning that you drive for yourself instead of driving for a carrier, such as my company, you will have a special permit showing that you run under your own authority. This number has to be on the cab, and you also have to carry your permit showing that it is a current number that the DOT recognizes. And this is actually a way that you can look up and see if you drive by a truck and you see an MC number or a DOT number. You can actually go and Google DOT truck numbers and look up and see who that truck belongs to, where the HQ is for that truck, or if it's individually owned. It will give you information about who owns the truck. You can pull safety records, should be able to see who their insurance is through. So there's lots of information that can be gathered. It's public record by that DOT number. Other things you have to carry what's called a cab card, and that proves that who owns the truck authority. Usually it has the MC number on it. Typically you find that linked to the insurance, but there is a cab card, and different states have different requirements. Then you will have your ELD or your logbook. Electronic logging devices are what's required now by the United States Department of Transportation. All trucks that are driving pretty much over the road, with very few exceptions, have to have an electronic logging device, and typically this is written on the outside of the cab on the door that it has an ELD in it. The ELD must be functioning up to code, and when you're pulled over for a traffic stop, the officer will typically ask to download the last 7 days of your logs. If they want more than that, they will contact your carrier. We can get that to the officer. This is typically asked for in the case of an accident, especially a severe one. But your your ELD device has to be up to DOT standards. Drivers are also required to carry 7 days of paper logs with them in case they get into a substitute truck that doesn't have an ELD that works with their company, or their ELD for some reason malfunctions or goes down. Sometimes when there's huge updates to DOT regulations and laws, sometimes it can take a moment or two, or even a day or two, to have all of those new laws and rules and regulations uploaded into the ELD devices, and sometimes they won't function, so drivers can go on paper logs. Also, drivers have to carry a lease agreement if they are leasing the truck from their carrier. This could be a walk-away lease, or this could be a lease purchase, but if you are on a lease with a company, you have to have a lease agreement with you at all times. Sometimes there's additional insurance paperwork that is required with that. You have to have an Environmental Protection Agency certificate. And then you have to have if you carry hazmat, you have to have all the regulations for that as well, and any permits required to carry. And when you're carrying a load, you are required to carry a bill of lading that shows where the load is from, what you're carrying, where the load is going to, if it's hazmat or not. And if it is hazmat, then if it's over a certain weight or it's in a certain class of hazmat, you have to have the placards, which are those triangle pieces that go on the trailers, which explain to anyone that is driving by if the load is explosive, if it's flammable, if it's caustic, whatever the case may be of what you're carrying. So that is a basic overview of everything that drivers have to have on them at all times just to be legal to drive. And I know this isn't a super exciting subject, but I think it's fascinating in the fact that sometimes people think that driving a truck is just simply you get in and you start driving and you go. But there's so much more to that, and there's so much more that the drivers are responsible for. And I sincerely applaud drivers that have everything organized. They make sure everything's up to date. They contact us if they notice that something's coming due, like a truck or a trailer inspection, and they'll get with us. We try to stay on top of it at our company. We have a safety checks and balance process process to make sure that we don't miss inspections. But it's great when drivers are on top of things. So next time you're out titling your car or getting new plates, remember that's just a drop in the bucket worth of work compared to what a driver has to do to drive their truck to be legal. So thank you so much for joining me today on Trucking Tuesday. If you're a professional driver, I would love to hear about your experience. If you're willing, feel free to email me at fracturedchristian@gmail.com. And if you are just someone who appreciates truck drivers and all they do for the United States or your home country, make sure you thank one when you see one. Thanks so much for listening and for being here, and drive safe and have a wonderful and blessed day.